Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, which today is going to be all about wide-angle photography, and I want to try and answer two questions. The first is, how wide is too wide? And secondly, if you are typically used to shooting focal lengths around maybe 24mm, 35mm, 50mm, and you're just wanting to go a little bit wider and get into some more landscape work with those kind of exaggerated foregrounds or bigger vistas, then what sort of focal length should you be looking for to add to your camera bag? So hopefully we'll answer both of those in today's video. So I want to start off by just explaining my journey with wide-angle photography, because I've only really been doing it for the last 18 months or so, and I was asking myself these very same questions when I was starting to look into what lens to add to my collection. I eventually went for the Sony 20mm f1.8, and that choice was made easier for me just because of the number of boxes that it ticked, and I'll go through those in this video because I'm pretty sure that it's going to resonate with a lot of you. It's probably a lot of the boxes that you're looking to tick with a wide-angle lens. So for me, the main reason that I went for a wide-angle lens was because I was getting into more landscape work, and I was doing a lot of stuff with commercial work, with interiors and lifestyle stuff where shooting rooms, shooting houses, all of this stuff required a much wider field of view than the 28 to 75mm Tamron lens that I had been typically using for all of my work, because a zoom lens is great, it's very versatile, but if you need to go a little bit wider, it can be a bit problematic. So after a lot of research and tons of YouTube videos and gear reviews, I was leaning more towards the 20mm just because it definitely filled a gap, but there was a couple of things that I knew would work in my favor if I went for a 20mm focal length. So firstly, I was coming at this from the perspective of being a kind of mid focal length shooter. I loved 35mm, loved 50mm, and then the thought of going to something like 14mm or 16mm on this kind of super wide end of the scale just seemed to be a real sort of like step into the unknown. And 20mm kind of felt like it wasn't pushing the boundary sort of too far. 20mm is definitely wide. It's a lot wider than 35mm, certainly a lot wider than 50mm. But if you're coming at it from those kind of focal lengths, it's not going to be alien to you. It's going to feel somewhat familiar. And it's actually a great creative tool because you feel confident to shoot with it because it's not out of the realms of what you're comfortable with. I personally am not necessarily a fan of super wide angle photography. It's all very subjective. I know that it has its place and it's an artistic choice that I think can be really, really valuable, especially in landscape work. If you're wanting to accentuate a foreground, capture a wide vista, then those 14mm, 16mm focal ranges can be really, really exciting. But for me personally, I prefer a more natural look to my photos. I don't like too much distortion. I don't like things that are too exaggerated, but I want to be able to at least kind of pinpoint some of those wide angle qualities with a lens choice, and that 20mm lens that I mentioned does do that. You can certainly accentuate a foreground with that lens, which is a typical use scenario for a wide angle lens in landscape photography, and it's certainly wide enough to capture a big vista. But it does that whilst feeling very much like something that the human eye would see, just slightly more accentuated. And that is something that I found really compelling. Now, another thing I love about the 20mm focal length in particular is the kind of gap that it fills in the kind of lens lineup of a lot of these wide angle options, and how going for something like the 20mm lens provides you with a really unique perspective that you don't see a lot of photographers using. And that's just because of where it sits in a very unique place in the lens lineup from a lot of manufacturers. You've got things like the 14mm, which Sigma does, which is like a 14mm, a 16mm. You've got variable zoom lenses like the 15 to 35. And then you've got things like the 24mm primes that like Sony or Canon might do. But you don't see a lot in that dedicated 20mm focal length. And that gives you an opportunity to create some really original work. And that was definitely a compelling reason for me to go with the Sony lens, was because I thought that shooting with that would give me, like I mentioned, a perspective that you don't often see a lot of photographers utilizing. It gives you all of that great wide angle creativity, but with it being a prime lens with a fixed focal length, it really kind of makes you work for the shots, because you can't zoom, you've got to use your feet and you've got to use your eyes to see what looks good. And I think that's a really valuable skill to develop, and it's definitely making my photography a lot more fun when I'm out in the field, which I want to talk more about in the next clip. So I really enjoy the challenge of a 20mm focal range, and it's something that I like to do as part of my kind of photography practice, I suppose, is that I will sometimes come out and I will stick to one focal length, or I'll give myself some kind of creative challenge just to kind of test my skills and my eye and my sort of feeling for composition. And something like a prime lens is just great because you can throw it on your camera, and quite often I don't bring all of my camera gear with me. I'll just bring the camera body and one lens, and this 20mm lens is really small and it's really compact. What you'll typically find with wide angle lenses, especially if you go in the really wide sort of side of things with the sort of 14mm primes or 16mm primes or the 15 to 35 zoom lenses, is that they're actually sort of pretty hefty and quite heavy. And this is just really lightweight, and it's really portable. So if I'm ever sort of on a day out, or I'm just, like I said, in the mood to challenge myself, then this is sometimes the only thing that comes out with me. And I've definitely learnt a lot about photography and learnt a lot about composition just by forcing myself into situations that I'm not familiar with or not comfortable with. And when we get back to the office, I'm gonna show you some more examples of how I just use this as kind of like a documentary lens for days out, and show you how you can capture a wide variety of different subjects with a 20mm focal range. So as part of this video, I also want to share some tips that I think are useful for anybody just looking to get into wide angle photography. I want to share some of the things that have been valuable lessons that I have learned over the last 18 months of doing all this. And mainly it all comes around to composition. Now, as I mentioned earlier, wide angle lenses give you a lot of great creative flexibility when it comes to your compositions, because especially in landscape and outdoor photography, you can exaggerate foreground elements, anything you like, to really kind of distort them and you know, make them very expressive. But there are just certain things that I think don't work so well with that technique. And the first thing that I want to say is that anything that we are overly familiar with in daily life, so portraits are a great example of this. If, you know, you're taking a portrait of somebody with a wide angle lens, because of the barrel distortion caused by wide angle lenses, you know, you'll find that the actual lens itself is domed, and that's what creates that wide field of view. Anything that you put on the edges of that frame is going to need to be carefully considered, and that's where things like people become kind of quite problematic, because if you put your subject, if you're taking an environmental portrait, if you put them too near the edge of the frame, it's going to distort and warp their face or their form, and that just looks a little bit weird, if you ask me. We're all too familiar with what people look like, what faces look like, proportions, things like that. So anytime you're going to exaggerate that too much, it's just going to create a uneasy feeling where you're going to look at that photo and you're going to feel like, you know, something is wrong, for lack of a better word. But if you keep that in mind, then you'll have some great results. The most important thing is to have fun with it, but there are just certain rules, I think, that are worth adhering to in certain scenarios. But hey, this is just my opinion. I mentioned before that I don't like wide angle photography when things are too exaggerated, so maybe I am slightly biased in that respect. But if you are new to it, it is just something to play around with and just see how you feel when it comes to that type of composition. Anyway, onwards. Firstly, let's talk about the value proposition. So with super wide angle lenses like 14mm and 16mm, they're so good at that specific thing that they do, which is exaggerating your foregrounds and kind of creating super wide vistas, but that's pretty much it. It's one of those lenses that's just very good at doing one thing very well. And you find as you go up the focal length, so as you get to things like 24mm, 35, 50mm, that they just become more and more versatile, and you can use them in more and more applications, whether that is landscape work, portraiture, street photography. It kind of broadens the scope of your use for that lens. And you know, these things are expensive. The Sony 20mm f1.8 is probably anywhere from around 600 to 800 pounds. And you know, that's not an inconsiderable amount of money. So if you are looking to spend that kind of money on a lens, you want to make sure that you're getting something that is, you know, it's not going to be stuck in your bag for most of the year when you only get it out for maybe a few specific scenarios. I mean, for me, that's not necessarily enough of a reason to purchase a lens. I like to be able to use my gear all the time, and I like to be familiar with it. I like to know it inside and out, and the only way to do that is to use it. So as I mentioned in the earlier clip, 20mm I think is a really, really great sweet spot for versatility. I use this lens all the time on little days out because it's a lot smaller than taking my 28 to 75, and I still get to use my A7 III, so I get all that full frame resolution with just a small lens, which just means that it's light to carry around, and it's a good little challenge just to kind of test my creativity when it comes to composition. So with this, the optics are really important. That f1.8 aperture is super important because it gives you options in terms of lighting. You can shoot this indoors, you can shoot this outdoors, you can get relatively shallow depth of field. The trouble with wide angle lenses is that you're not really going to be getting much bokeh anyway. Even at the 20mm f1.8 stopped all the way down to 1.8, you're still not really going to get an awful lot of bokeh. But if you are indoors, then you can shoot this handheld, and the sharpness is really exceptional. I always tend to find that with prime lenses anyway. Prime lenses tend to be sharper than zoom lenses, so having a 20mm prime lens just means that you're guaranteeing a certain level of sharpness that is perfectly acceptable for me. Now, another reason that I say that this lens is great for days out and being a casual shooter is because with it being on that 35mm full frame sensor, even if I don't want to shoot at 20mm because I think it's too wide, I still have plenty of resolution there to crop it. Even if it's too wide, you still have flexibility to be able to crop and refine the composition without losing detail and sharpness. And that for me is something that's important because it just makes this lens even more versatile. And the final thing to mention with the Sony 20mm f1.8 is that it's also a really great video lens. It's what I'm shooting this talking head on right now. I find, again, having that f1.8 aperture just means that I've got a ton of flexibility there for lighting, and I'm getting that sharpness that I really like from a prime lens. And it just means for, you know, scenarios like this, when I do a lot of video work, that I'm having a lens that is going to be able to handle that really, really well. So with more and more people becoming hybrid shooters, you know, shooting video as well as stills photography, then we also have to make sure that our kit is pretty optimized to do both, because we can't necessarily all afford to have a dedicated video setup and a dedicated photography setup, as nice as that would be. So it's just maximizing the gear that you do have and making those purchasing decisions that are going to give you the best returns. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about the lens, then do leave it down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really, really helps, and I appreciate every single one of you who does that. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you all next Thursday for another video. Until then, go outside, keep taking photos.